Most people would not expect a pond snail to contribute to neuroscience. They are small, slow, common in freshwater ponds and wetlands. The great pond snail, Lymnaea Stagnalis, spends much of its life grazing on algae, feeding on decaying plant material, and moving through shallow water. At first glance, there is nothing about it that suggests scientific importance. Yet this unassuming freshwater snail has become one of the most studied animals in neuroscience. Part of the reason is surprisingly simple. Its neurons are huge. Many of the snail's nerve cells are large enough to be seen without a microscope. Scientists can identify individual neurons from one animal to the next, allowing them to investigate learning, decision-making, aging, sleep, and nervous system function with an unusual level of precision. In many experiments, researchers are not simply studying a type of neuron. They're studying the exact same neuron across multiple animals. That level of consistency is rare in biological research. What makes the great pond snail even more unusual is the way it breathes. Unlike many aquatic animals that rely entirely on dissolved oxygen in the water, Lymnaea Stagnalis is a bimodal breather. It can obtain oxygen in two different ways. When oxygen levels are high, the snail absorbs dissolved oxygen directly from the water through specialized tissues. When conditions become less favorable, it switches strategies. The snail possesses a simple lung-like cavity and periodically swims to the surface to open a respiratory pore known as the pneumostome. Air enters the cavity, oxygen diffuses into the blood, and the snail returns underwater. This flexibility allows it to thrive in environments where oxygen availability can change dramatically. Freshwater ponds are often far less stable than they appear. Oxygen concentrations can decline during hot weather, fall overnight, or drop when algae blooms and decaying vegetation consume available oxygen. Many aquatic animals struggle under these conditions. The pond snail simply changes how it breathes. For neuroscientists, this behavior created an unexpected opportunity. Because the snail regularly surfaces for air, researchers can easily observe and measure its respiratory behavior. Experiments have shown that pond snails can learn from experience and alter how often they open their pneumostome under specific conditions. Even more remarkably, they can retain those changes. Researchers have demonstrated that pond snails are capable of forming memories that persist for hours, days, and sometimes even longer. By studying these behavioral changes, scientists have gained valuable insights into how nervous systems store information and adapt to experience. In other words, a snail has helped researchers investigate some of the same biological processes that operate in far more complex animals. The neuroscience alone would make the pond snail unusual. Its evolutionary history makes it even more remarkable. The great pond snail itself is not particularly ancient. By geological standards, Lymnaea Stagnalis is a relatively recent species that likely emerged within the last few million years. The lineage behind it, however, is far older. The family to which pond snails belong extends back tens of millions of years, reaching into a world where mammals were beginning to diversify and the last dinosaurs were disappearing. Go deeper still, and the story stretches back more than 200 million years to the evolution of the pulmonates, the air-breathing snails. At some point, marine snail ancestors evolved a mantle cavity capable of functioning as a lung. That innovation changed everything. Instead of relying entirely on oxygen dissolved in water, these animals gained direct access to the atmosphere. Some moved onto land, others remained in fresh water. The great pond snail belongs to that freshwater branch of a much older evolutionary experiment. Its ability to surface and breathe air is not a recent adaptation. It is the continuation of a strategy that has persisted across immense spans of time. Follow the lineage back even further, and the ancestors stop looking like pond snails entirely. They become early gastropods. Gastropods first appear in the fossil record more than 500 million years ago during the Cambrian period. This was a world unlike our own. There were no dinosaurs, no birds, no mammals, no flowering plants. Forests had not yet evolved. The oceans were populated by strange early animals, including trilobites, anomalocaridids, and some of the earliest mollusks. The ancestors of modern snails were already there. One famous Paleozoic relative was Bellerophon, a snail-like gastropod that lived hundreds of millions of years ago and whose fossils are still found in ancient marine rocks today. It is not a direct ancestor of the great pond snail, but it serves as a reminder of just how deep the broader snail lineage runs. Perhaps the most fascinating part of this story is that the most important ancestor was not a species at all. It was an innovation. The evolution of a lung-like respiratory system opened environments that had previously been inaccessible to many mollusks: wetlands, marshes, pond margins, freshwater habitats, eventually even life on land. A single evolutionary change transformed what these animals could do and where they could live. Today, the descendants of that innovation continue to graze on pond plants and algae while helping scientists investigate how nervous systems learn and adapt. The great pond snail is also important outside the laboratory. In many freshwater ecosystems, it acts as both a grazer and a recycler. Using a specialized rasping tongue called a radula, it scrapes algae, biofilms, and organic material from submerged surfaces. It consumes decaying vegetation and helps recycle nutrients that would otherwise remain locked within plant matter. In effect, pond snails help clean the environments they inhabit. At the same time, they occupy a critical position within the food web. Fish eat them, birds eat them, amphibians eat them. Aquatic insects and other invertebrates prey upon them as well. The snail takes energy stored in algae, microorganisms, and decaying plants and converts it into food that can be passed upward through the ecosystem. It is a small animal performing an important ecological task. Even humans have eaten freshwater snails in some parts of the world, though wild-caught snails can carry parasites and require careful preparation. For such a common animal, the great pond snail occupies a surprisingly large number of roles. It is a grazer, a recycler, prey, a host for parasites, a neuroscience model organism, and the descendant of a lineage that stretches back more than 500 million years. Like many of the organisms explored in this series, the great pond snail rarely attracts attention. Most people pass by ponds without ever noticing it. Yet beneath the surface is an animal capable of learning from experience, adapting to changing environmental conditions, helping researchers explore the workings of the nervous system, and quietly supporting the ecosystems around it. It is also the latest chapter in a story that began more than 500 million years ago, when some of the earliest ancestors of modern snails first appeared in Earth's oceans. Sometimes the most interesting discoveries are not found in rare animals or remote places. Sometimes they are quietly grazing on pond plants just beneath the water's surface.